Local check 1, 2. Okay, cool. Okay, good. We're rolling, and we're recording this lab demonstration session walkthrough so that anybody can see it that wasn't here. If you were here, you want to see it later, you can come back and review this stuff. Okay, so here's our schedule for today. We're supposed to do lab 1.3.1.2. That's when we're used to connecting two PCs and connecting together. I've done all the connecting. Sorry, I can't let you put your grubby grimies on the wires yourselves, just for now. You know how it is. Okay, so when you go to your PCA's VMware workstation screen, I've already started my PCs. When they're not started, you'll see this PCA, PCB. There'll be a green triangle to the left of them, and it's like a play button on an MP3 player. Click that green triangle, and you'll start your two PCs. Okay, I'm going to step through the lab here now. Click recording, yes, clicking, okay, microphone working. Okay, so your PCA and PCB, it's your single workstation going out to that red and green plug with the second and third NIC cards, network interface Ethernet adapters that I put in these machines, goes back, and you have your own little private rack space back there. You're connected to an Ethernet switch. Oh, what's an Ethernet? Let's show you what Ethernet switch is. So this is an Ethernet switch. This is a device that's used to connect everybody together in a classroom or business. So you got that RJ45 connector on the back of your PC, and you plug a cable on that. You plug the other end of the cable. It might go through the wall, plugs into here. So your PCA and PCB are plugged into two plugs on one of these switches back here. You see a bunch of yellow wires back there. That's all your personal patch panel extends through back. You see those blue wires coming down from the ceiling, all tangled together, all bundled together. Two of those is yours for your workstation, and they're plugged into these two switch ports. You have this switch connected, and switches are automatically going to connect everybody together. They don't have to be configured or anything. So most of these switches go into small businesses. No one ever configures them. They just start working automatically. So the lab says that we are required to have a switch. It's back in the rack. Two Windows, two Windows 10 PCs, and our VMware workstations are running Windows 10. And two Ethernet cables, the little solid black wires there. That's the little logical diagramming thing that says that's an Ethernet cable. If it was a red jagged lightning bolt, it would be like a dial-up telephone line. So on page 2, it says power on all the devices. Now the weird thing about switches is switches don't have switches. There is no power switch on the switch. That's because they don't want somebody to turn them off by mistake, because they should be running all the time. You have to plug it into a power strip if you want to turn it off, or just pull the plug. So in a later course, we're going to learn how sometimes you have to turn the switches off and on again to reset the password or something. So step 2, the PCs are connected to the switch. I've done that for you. The red and green plugs on each one of your individual workstations are connecting you to the switch. Okay, now let's go into our host machines. Part 2, we're going to configure our host. So I have the two PCs already started. I'm going to do PCA first. Let me see. There's a tab at the top here. I can click on the PCB tab. Or I can click on the PCA tab. See that cute little wallpaper there? That's a Google data center. They got a few racks, don't they? So he says to configure at the bottom, center bottom, page 2, it says to configure the addresses. We're going to configure something called a static IP address. Now, normally in the real world, you use something called a dynamic IP address because you don't want to go around configuring IP addresses. I used to have to do that. But about mid-1995, they came up with a protocol that did this automatically for us. So we're going to statically configure these ourselves. It's not hard. So he says, click on the start button, and sometimes you got to click once or twice to bring focus to the VM with your mouse. So I clicked on it, and it says click on that settings, which is the thing that looks like a gear shift. Oh, oops, I'm going to go. So I'm going to click on the start button and then click on that gear button. And it should look like the picture on the top of page 3. And then we're going to click on the setting that says network and internet. And then it doesn't match exactly the picture there at the bottom, but if you look toward the bottom, it says change adapter settings, change adapter options is kind of near the bottom. And after we do this convoluted method, I'm going to show you how to put in a shortcut to do all this all in one thing. And then the top of page 4, this is the network settings. And he says you're supposed to right click and choose properties. Now, not left click, but right click. So I'm going to right click on it and choose properties. And we get this. This is shown at the bottom of page 4. And then you're supposed to click on the one called Internet Protocol version 4. I have that in blue right now. You can either double click on it or you can single click on it and click the word properties. I'll go through this one more time with a shortcut too, because this is long. And then we're supposed to type in a particular IP. Now I've already have the proper IP address on here. So you probably won't have this on yours. So here's the Gonzo secret insider tip of the day. When you're configuring Windows Workstation IP address, if it's got the wrong address on there and you need to clear it out, see this button, radio button that says obtain the IP address automatically? That's what most PCs are set for. That means go out and Mr. Server, give me my IP address. I don't want to have to configure personally. That's what all PCs are set for automatically. So click that and then click the use address, click obtain, then use, it wipes it out. Now you can put in your address. Now let me show you a couple of weird things about Microsoft. I clicked to bring focus to that first box. And what number am I supposed to type in? 192? Now I'm going to type 192, and I didn't touch any spaces or dots or nothing, and it automatically moved it over to where the next number goes, which is 168. He jumped over to the third part automatically, and we're supposed to put, isn't it 1.10? Yeah, 1. Now 1 isn't 3 digits, so you can't jump over. Touch the period key on your keyboard, or click with your mouse into that fourth space. I like touching the period because it's easier. And then this one gives us number 10. Now, that next line, 255.255.255. Now, subnet mask, I don't like the word mask. It sounds like the Phantom of the Opera is hiding something from you. It's the network ruler or yardstick. It tells you how big the network is. Just touch the tab key on the left-hand part of the keyboard one time. And Microsoft automatically says, well, that looks like that size of network. I'm going to put those numbers in there. And then click the OK. And then he doesn't tell you this, but you got to click the close. He doesn't have this in that. We're going to click the close. Now I'm going to go through that again and show you my shortcut I put on the screen. I've got to put a couple of neat shortcuts on these VMs for you. First of all, Cisco Lab shortcut, we're not going to have to click 7 times before we get there. Second of all, when we get to the next part of the lab where we're going to type the ping command, the command prompt, this is a newer version of Windows that doesn't match what's in the lab report. So I'll show you that. Okay, so I'll go through that again. This time I'm going to click the Cisco Lab shortcut and then click the word properties. Now with just 2 clicks, I'm ready. Let me check, make sure my settings are okay, make sure I didn't mistype anything. Make sure I didn't fat finger it. 192.168.1.10. Yeah, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. Click OK, click OK. If you don't click all the OKs, it won't take effect. Hang loose until I go through this presentation, and then I'll help anybody with any troubleshooting. Now, let's repeat this for PCB. So I'm going to click on the PCB tab. I popped over the PCB. I'm going to use my shortcut method. Sometimes you got to click more than once when you change to a new VM, a virtual machine, a guest operating system. Sometimes you got to click 1 or 2 times to wake it up and bring focus to it. I'll click properties. And then TCP IP version 4. Okay, and this address is already in here. I already did this address. It's proper. 192.168.111. So if it was not proper for you, yours won't be proper, probably. You will probably have to click that obtain button and then the use button to erase whatever was there before and put the right numbers in. Now, at the bottom of page 5, it says we're going to verify these settings, verify this connectivity. We're going to use the command prompt. Now, this is where it goes away. The printout in the lab is an older version of Windows because he tells you to right-click on the Start button and look for something called the command prompt, and it ain't there. I don't see it. It's not there. Okay? However, I have put a command prompt shortcut. You see this thing that looks like the black DOS command prompt window? That's what he wants you to get to. The command prompt is the old DOS, the old type in, it's not a graphical user thing. You type a command like the dir, the directory. We're going to type some commands in here. So at the bottom of page 6, he tells us to type the command ipconfig, which is all one word, no spaces, space / all, and I can see that, yes, my IP address is 192.168.111. This is the only way that you can actually tell what your IP address is if you have clicked the Obtain Automatically button, and the server, like at home and businesses, typically, we don't do the static addressing. A server automatically gives it, and you can check it with this command and see what's happening. Now, if I type ipconfig by itself, it's a little simpler. It just shows you the address. This is what we wanted to check for that. So the IP address information is proper. Now I'm on PCB. I got to go back to PCA because at the top of page 7, he tells me that I should be at the PCA, and we're going to attempt to communicate with PCB using this sonar-like ping command, which is a command that sends a special packet that says, "Are you alive? Tell me so." Reply. Echo request, echo reply. So I'm going to type the command ping 192.168.1.11. Remember, I'm 1.10. I'm PCE, I'm 1.10. We're connected together through the rack, and it works. I think I did this with the, I did a presentation of this with the packet tracer. It works the same way. The packet tracer, it's not real Windows, it's kind of a graphical simulation. It works the same way. So that worked properly. With a ping result successful, and you write yes on your lab report, and you turn in the lab report to me. If you don't get a reply, maybe sometimes there's a thing called the Windows firewall that Windows is on by default. And the Windows firewall is a security feature that gets the bad guys from trying to break into your computer. So one of the things they normally do is they disable the ping, because that's what bad guys use. I'm sorry, we're not supposed to call them bad guys anymore. We're not supposed to call them malicious intruders anymore. We're supposed to call them threat actors. They're threat actors. That way they don't feel so bad about themselves. It doesn't sound so bad. They're still bad guys. They're still trying to steal your money and do ransomware for millions of dollars from your company. Okay, they're evil scum, and they should need to be eliminated. So the Windows firewall, sometimes by default, it'll block those pings, because one of the first things that a person is trying to map your network out and he's trying to ping every possible address you could have to see who responds. Oh, there's a real IP address. Now, is it a valuable server with a secret marketing plan for next year? I'm going to try to break into it. Oh, it's a Windows server. Those are easy to break into. Oh, it's a Linux server. Those are kind of hard to break into. He's going to look for the, it's like the burglars that look for the doors that are easy to break into. They look for the easy targets.